Well, let's return now to Labour Party conference in Manchester, where we heard from Ed Balls, the Shadow Chancellor, today about the mistakes of previous Labour governments. And, of course, it's the leader's speech from Ed Miliband tomorrow. Joining me now is a key advisor to Ed Miliband, the man helping draw up the manifesto, Lord Falconer. Thank you for being with us.
Hello, Adam.
Is it a Labour priority to cut the deficit if you win the next election?
We're absolutely committed, as Ed Balls said in his speech today, to continuing to fight the deficit. Deficit reduction is part of our overall approach to government.
How are you going to do it?
Well, he's outlined that we're going to keep an extremely close eye on public expenditure. In some areas, like, for example, in relation to the 50p rate of tax will go up, but it will be a government that continues to fight the deficit.
And how much is going to be raised by the cut today announced, or the maintaining the 1% cap on increases in child benefit?
I don't know what the precise figures are, but they're intended to demonstrate that we are committed to keeping a control of public expenditure.
I mean, the problem is that I think a price tag of 400 million has been put on that, whereas the Treasury is saying it's going to be nearer to 100 million.
Well, I mean, I can't help you in relation to the precise detail of the figures. As I say, I haven't done the work in relation to it. But they are there to demonstrate that we are committed to fighting the deficit.
And there's going to be a mansion tax, is that right?
I understand that's the position. That's been the position of the Labour Party for some time.
And what's that going to be spent on?
Presumably the priorities that we have identified in relation to public expenditure, which hopefully when you listen to the speech tomorrow, you will have a better idea of.
Well, the briefing appears to be that it's going to be spent on the National Health Service. Is that right?
I don't know.
Because the problem with that is that it's previously been suggested that money from a mansion tax might go to introduce a 10p low rate of income tax.
Well, in relation to how we spend specific amounts of money raised by tax, you'd have to look at the overall picture in relation to that. I'm not going to respond to briefings that I don't know the detail of, because you need to look at the overall picture in relation to it. Well, although I can quite understand that these are legitimate questions, they're not questions which is easy to answer in the context of the way that you're putting them.
I'm just wondering if the 10p tax ban, which of course was abolished by Gordon Brown and then subsequently reinstated by the Liberal Democrats, is that still something which Labour's committed to?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you had an opportunity to talk to Ed Balls about this. I think you did earlier in the morning. You're much better off asking him rather than me.
But
yeah, go on.
Well, I thought you were helping write the manifesto.
No, I don't know where you got that from.
Are you not in the committee on that at all?
No.
OK. And how would you describe the mood of this Labour conference?
I sense that the mood here is one that is absolutely determined to win the next election. We are unified, we are focused on doing all that we can to get our message across in relation to why things would be different under this government as under our government as opposed to the current government. And there is a real sense of commitment, and there is a real sense that we have a very good opportunity to win.
The problem is that you can go out into Manchester, as we have done today, or you can look at the opinion polls, and people say they don't see Ed Miliband as a Prime Minister and they don't trust him and Ed Balls on the economy.
Well, as far as Ed Miliband as Prime Minister is concerned, he's been the leader of the opposition. He's never been Prime Minister before. He will be judged by the British people, I believe, on the detailed policy offer that he makes in the next general election. As to how he then performs as Prime Minister, that's when the judgment will be made about how good or bad he is as Prime Minister. And indeed, history tells us that people who may not have looked completely brilliant at the beginning, for example, Clement Attlee, they turn out to be brilliant Prime Ministers. And the British public will judge who should be the Prime Minister on the basis of the policy offers that are being made.
What do you think? I mean, does Ed Miliband really need to turn things round with his speech tomorrow?
Well, I mean, we're ahead in the polls. He's been consistent over the last 4 years in relation to what his position is. He stands for reform. He stands, I believe, in what is now the centre ground of British politics. He's got to consistently do what he has been doing for the last 4 years. So, no, I don't think the way is turn it round. I think the position is keep up what you've been doing.